Good morning and welcome back to BIFA Link TV, your daily dose of industry information. Today I'm joined once again by Ian Matheson for this week's What the Papers Say. So Ian, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Well, hello, Brooke. Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. I hope you are too.
Yep, very
We're
well, thank
filming
you.
this episode of What the Papers Say one day after the long-awaited ceasefire in Gaza came into force.
Yeah.
And of course, we can only hope and pray that that ceasefire endures beyond the initial 6-week phase. From a freight perspective, of course, industry observers conclude that this ceasefire is unlikely to mean a return to business as usual for the Suez Canal anytime soon. And it's not even entirely clear whether the Houthis will abide by the ceasefire, from what I read.
No, and like you said, rerouting back to the Suez Canal, it seems like a long way off, yeah, doesn't it?
And of course, when this episode airs, Donald Trump will have been inaugurated as the President of the USA. And of course, the whole world will be waiting with apprehension, I guess, about what the new president may or may not do. Companies involved in physical trade with the USA, as well as, of course, the freight forwarders that facilitate that trade, will need to keep a very close eye on the new administration's trade policy. You know, there's been a lot of speculation about what that policy might look like and what impact it might have on international supply chains.
Well, I'm sure we're all in for a roller coaster ride, aren't we?
Quite probably, yes. In the air cargo arena, the market cruised into 2025 on the back of 14 consecutive months of double-digit growth in demand as volumes climbed 11% year on year in December, and the average spot rates finished the year at 15% higher, according to the ocean and air freight intelligence platform Xeneta. That should make pretty interesting listening or reading or watching for BIFA members involved in air freight forwarding. But of course, it is also forecasted that demand growth of 4 to 6% in 2025, and says that the cautious optimism remains tempered by susceptibility to geopolitical tensions, subdued manufacturing outlook, and of course the political interventions in what is an increasingly volatile world.
And from what I've read, Ian, and of course what we've been through in previous episodes, air freight sounds like a mode that's pretty reliant on e-commerce traffic, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I believe that's true, Brooke. Although I did read an article in the Lodestar last week that suggested that e-commerce traffic has actually fallen since the start of the year. So
Right, okay.
whether that's correct, I don't know, but it was an interesting sort of headline. Anyway, Xeneta, staying with Xeneta, they also had something to say about ocean freight. Whilst its data shows average spot rates from the Far East to the USA, US East Coast that is, had increased 26% between the 14th of December and early January. The avoidance of the strikes that were forecast on the East Coast and the Gulf Coast led Xeneta to predict that ocean freight rate growth is now expected to slow or even fall. That's a view that was also shared by Vespucci Maritime. And that notes that February 1st, of course, we'll see the new container shipping alliances come into effect, with carriers beginning to shift their vessels into the new service networks. The timing coincides with the seasonal slump in demand that we see after Chinese New Year, which falls on January the 29th this year. Under normal market conditions, we would see a large amount of blank sailings being announced, but the new alliance phasing makes the situation more opaque this time. It is difficult to both phase vessels into the new networks and at the same time manage blank sailings effectively. And Xeneta thinks there's a risk that the carriers will prioritise getting their new alliance networks in place at the expense of managing the blank sailings as effectively as usual. That could cause some short-term overcapacity problems in early February, which of course could lead to temporary rapid drops in spot rates. All in all, shippers and BIFA members should remain cautious, because it will not take much for freight rates to begin spiralling once again, particularly given the ongoing uncertainty about the Red Sea and the return of Donald to the White House, which could escalate the US-China trade war.
So just based on that, of course, the uncertainties that we saw in 2024, they're showing no signs of stopping, are they?
They're certainly not, Brooke. And of course, talking about uncertainties, any of your members that are involved in the movement of animal-related products should take a look at the information BIFA has provided following the outbreak of the foot and mouth disease in Germany. As you know, Brooke, the UK has banned the import of pigs, sheep, cattle, as well as their meat products, milk and animal byproducts from Germany following the outbreak. And we are aware that there have already been delays and diversions impacting the movement of products. And to help protect members that might be affected, BIFA has issued a lot of guidance on the application of the CMR Convention, as well as BIFA's standard trading conditions, which relate to the disruption caused by the outbreak in Germany. And BIFA would urge members really to review that information, which is available on the BIFA website at the link in the panel below.
Yeah.
I'd like to end this week's episode with a word of congratulations to all the finalists and the winners that were revealed at last week's BIFA Freight Service Awards lunch. Anyone who was not there and wants to know who walked off with an awards winner trophy should take a look at the article on the BIFA website. And again, there's a link to that in the panel below. And all the members shouldn't forget that if you do want to be a winner in the 2025 awards, they should keep their eyes peeled for further announcements about the entry procedure later this year.
Yep, like you said, Ian, the 2025 competition will open in June of this year. So anyone who is looking into entering this year's awards, make sure you look out for that. Thank you so much, Ian, once again for bringing all of this to our attention. The links to all of the articles that we've discussed today will be in the description, like always. Thank you so much for watching today's edition of BIFA Link TV, your daily dose of industry information.